Welcome back, Tribe. I have an episode here from Living Abroad, and it says American expats' unfiltered thoughts on the Philippines. He doesn't hold back. Just the first couple of seconds sounded interesting. Let's get into it.
You're not in your country. False. It's false niceness. It's not real. It was a culture shock to me. So be careful with the women. It's willful scamming. You have to watch your back. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that Westerners make.
So please tell us your name and where you're from, just to remind our viewers.
Reg.
I hope he spits some truth, because that one video we did where the guy was living in some like shanty ass garbage spot for $150 a month, complaining about all the amenities he was missing, like back home in the United States. Excuse me. That video was interesting because that dude was quoting prices. I was reading the comments too, and it popped into my head during the video. I didn't say anything, but he was quoting rent in Portland, I believe, and he said something like $600, $700. Bullshit, bro. I think rent in Portland for a decent place starts at like $1,600. So his numbers were way off, but his reality in the Philippines, if you're going to go to any, I wouldn't even say third world country, but if you're going to go overseas and try to live like a local and you're used to American amenities, or shit, even just trying to live on a stupid low budget, you're out of your mind if you think that's going to be a walk in the park and you're in a fantasy land. Like, palm trees, beaches, pretty skinny girls. Fuck no. You're insane. You need $3,000 a month. You can get by on less, my friend. I'm sure you can. There's plenty of places where people are going to be like, how I survive on $1,500. I'm not interested in surviving. If I go overseas and if you go overseas, you should be living like a king. The point is, you spend probably $4,000, $5,000 a month in America. That same $4,000, $5,000 a month overseas, you're living like a king. You don't go overseas unless you're in a horrible position in life, like you're depending on a pension, whatever, you worked your ass off, you made horrible financial mistakes in your entire life, you fucked off your future, and now your pension's like $600 a month. You're screwed, bro. Go to the Philippines. Go and just live out the rest of your days. At least you won't go homeless and you can afford food, but you're done for. Oh, shit. Let's get into it, dude. I hope this guy really tears into some of these stereotypes.
G from Ohio, USA.
How long have you been here in the Philippines?
Off and on, like maybe 2-3 years, something like that.
What has
right,
been
Rich.
the biggest lie about the Philippines for you?
Ooh, that's a big one.
I'm coming out the gate, bro. I'm shooting this at you.
Is it more fun in the Philippines?
Is it?
Sometimes it's not.
Right.
It really depends. I would say that the biggest lie is that everyone's nice. It's a common misconception because when people come out here, they see, oh yeah, everybody's saying hey and how you doing and this and that and sir and ma'am, and okay, well, I'll give you a scenario. The money goes away or you leave, it's a wrap. Stay for longer than a month, no one's going to be nice anymore. They're going to be mean. They're going to look at you differently. It's going to be fucked up when I say this, but honestly, if you are a white guy, then yeah, the niceness never ends. So you can be like, oh my God, so great here. But nah, it's going to be a time where people will be like, okay, you don't have any money today? Okay, no, we're not talking. So it does change from time to time. But I mean, false. It's false niceness. It's not real.
You have any specific stories, anything that's happened to you maybe that you want to share?
There was one time I went to a hotel and I was checking out and I was sitting in the lobby and I think the owner came out. The owner came out and he's like asking people like, hey, do you want to extend your stay or whatever? He asked everybody except me. Now, I don't know, maybe he just didn't see me or whatever, because I mean, to be fair, I was sitting by the window, but he didn't approach me. But he approached the Chinese guy, he approached the Korean guy, didn't approach me. I'm guessing it's because he's like, oh, yeah, that motherfucker's gonna leave. He's not gonna stay. He's gone. He's not gonna be here anymore. So that's what happened. I mean, it was strange to me because I was just like, okay, well, everybody was nice to me when I checked in. Oh, hey, how you doing? Here's your key card, Mr. So-and-so. Okay, have a nice day. Oh, hey, can we get your bags? Can we get this? Can we get that? But didn't ask me to stay longer. I didn't do anything wrong. He just didn't ask me to stay longer.
When was the first time you came to the Philippines?
2017.
It's almost 6-7 years.
Yeah, that was the first time I came. And I did not know what I was getting into at all. I remember booking the ticket.
But it's interesting. He keeps going back. He keeps going back. So I wonder what the reasons are. Let's see.
And then the night before, I was just like, what did I do? Like when I got on the plane and then I stayed on the plane and 5 hours turned to 10 hours. And then it was like, oh my God, what did I do? It didn't really hit me what I did until I got out of Naya International and I'm looking around and I'm like, what the hell is this? Why am I here? And these people started like asking me for stuff. And, you know, I mean, I've never been to any other country ever. That was the first country I ever went to. Well, I mean, besides my stopover. So I guess technically the first country I've ever been to was Taipei, outside
that
of
don't
America.
count.
I mean, it can.
Yeah,
Why
yes,
not? Yeah, it can.
technically you're
It's
right.
stamped on my passport, so it counts. But yeah, I mean, and I was just like, wow, this is so different. And it was a culture shock to me, like how many people I saw that were really poor. Not saying I look down on poor people. I mean, I respect them the same because yeah, we all end up in a spot once or twice in our lives.
Yeah.
But I guess it surprised me because in America, you're driving down the street, oh, you see somebody with a sign. Okay, that's once every what, 2-3 weeks, something like that. But that was just like, oh my God, like they're everywhere. And the next culture shock that happened was nobody was around to help me cross the street, or should I say, there was no traffic device to really help me cross the street. So I had to figure it out on my own. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
Oh my God, bro. Look left, look right, then cross. It's not that hard. All right, give me some real shit. So the poverty is real. Yes, you'll see that there are multiple classes in these societies, and obviously the disparity, the income gaps, the wealth gaps are massive. Yeah, it's not as bad in Eastern Europe. It exists, but not to this level. I mean, I haven't seen street beggars and stuff like that here, or homeless to the degree you'll see in the United States, but I could only imagine what it's like somewhere in the Philippines.
I don't know how this is gonna work. So but I think the biggest thing that shocked me was how fast paced everything was. I didn't think it was fast paced.
You know, Philippines island time that people are always like relaxing. So do you think it matters on which city you are, or do you have a general idea of which you think is a fast pace or more relaxed, like something?
Oh, there's definitely a difference between the province and the city. It's just like in America, you know, the country is different from the city. But I think that there is what I used to word malaise. I think it'd be malaise. It was a malaise of just like nobody really wanted to do anything. Like, for example, I had an air conditioner break on me, and I called for a guy to come fix it. He says, "Yeah, I'll come today." You think it's bad when you're waiting for the cable people to come, and they say between 1 and 5, and you're like, "When are they coming?" They come at 5. It's always 5. It's never anything earlier. But that guy came 3 days later.
3 days.
I'm never.
Look, man, these little inefficiencies piss me off, and it pisses off a lot of expats. This is why America runs the way it does, and shit costs the way it costs. You want to go a place with good healthcare? You want to go a place with good infrastructure, good roads, good bridges, good service. Trains are on time. People come on time. Businesses close exactly when they say they're supposed to close, open exactly when they're supposed to open. You got to pay. You will pay to live in a fully functioning society. You go to these other places here in Eastern Europe too. I just had it happen. It was not a problem at all. But me and my girl were coming from the gym. We're walking to a coffee shop to grab a croissant and some coffee. And the women that are supposed to be inside working, there's 3 of them. They're all outside smoking cigarettes, chilling, having a latte, and then see us approaching, see us walking, give us a sour look, and then all 3 go bolt inside right out. Like, we walked in first, then they walked in after us. Me and her, we just walked right out. We're like, oh no, it's the wrong place. Anyways, we went to the shop literally right next door to that one. And then they were inside pretending to be busy. But for that entire time, they were just sitting outside, feet up, smoking, having a drink, not inside the store at all. You would never see some shit like that in the West. I mean, people would be afraid to get fired. I mean, they got cameras. In one sense, you say it's more lax. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, you don't got to man the store that way until a customer actually walks in. I like the relaxed nature, but you're giving me the fucking stink eye for a reason. Why? Because you got to sit up and take care of your goddamn job you're being paid to do. It's a bit strange when you see stuff like that happen. There's other things like what he was mentioning. When you have something that needs to be repaired or whatever, I haven't had any like egregious appointments yet, like 3 days later. But the guy will say some bullshit like, I'll head over sometime today. And he doesn't get to you until the very end of the day. Or he won't call you or message you if he needs to come the next day. And then you have to message or call him again and be like, bro, you didn't show up today. Yeah, I was busy. I'll get to you tomorrow. It's very nonchalant, like words are not binding here. In the West, you tell somebody I'll be there today, I'll be there at 4, you expect them to be there at 4 plus or minus, say, 30-minute courtesy for traffic or whatever else. And you're supposed to have courtesy back and just call the person or text them, say I'm running late or whatever it is. Those little inefficiencies are annoying, amongst a million other things, like dealing with the post office. The American post office is a fucking wonder in and of itself. Post offices in Eastern Europe are dog shit. The way they build here, they build slow as fuck. I'm watching down the street from me, they're building luxury apartments. And it's been looking the same since I moved here a year ago, a little over a year ago. They've made zero progress. I'm pretty sure they took almost 90% advance in people's deposits to start building this building and finish it. They haven't moved a fucking inch. Little things like that, you'll notice.
We're complaining about Comcast ever again. Never again.
Speaking of complaints, anything that you quite haven't really adjusted to, or you still have trouble daily? What is it?
I got one. Okay. It's kind of going to reflect on what we just talked about before. So you can't go complain like you would in America.
Yeah.
We call it complaints, but it's technically corrections, right? Like, hey, you go to McDonald's. Hey, I was asking for a Big Mac. You give me a quarter pounder. Okay. That's severely looked down upon here. Severely looked down upon. Because the culture is that if you correct me, you're saying I'm stupid. You're insulting me. Why? So the one thing as an American that is hard to get used to is correcting somebody, like saying, hey, look, you gave me the wrong thing. I still do it. And my girlfriend complains about it. She's like, why are you complaining? I'm like, because it's my hard-earned money. It wasn't correct. I need the correct thing that I asked for. I want what I ordered.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely don't complain. I learned that the hard way. But I only save it for really severe things. Like, okay, I was supposed to get like a 10-piece. You gave me like a 4-piece. Okay, then I'm going to say, hey, I need this, right? But if it's something small, like, oh, you forgot the cheese, just let it go. Just
Let it slide. What about you mentioned your girlfriend in the province a little bit. So do you normally live in the city itself or on the outskirts of town? I know I think you live a little bit further away, right?
go back and forth.
What are the challenges or differences? People that don't really know the difference between Cebu City and, let's say, car or somewhere different. Is there like a major difference, or?
It's exposure and education, which is actually surprising because you think that the same information would be available nationwide, but it's not. Instead, it's more of like, it's siloed. It's all siloed in the cities. Like the cities know most of everything. And then when you go to the province, it's like, there are people
that inequality exists here in Romania too. Like once you go out into the countryside, the smaller cities, not the big regional ones, like that silo effect he's talking about, the bubble, it exists. That's why when I say if you're looking for traditional minded people, women, and you want to start families and all this, you have to avoid the cities at all costs. You're not leaving the West behind if you go to the capitals of other countries. It's already there. It's just not as extreme, but it's already there. If you go into the regionals, the smaller cities and towns, you'll find the completely different mindset because the wealth inequality, the disparity between city people and country people is night and day different, man. It's extreme. Like in the US, that balance between people in the city and people in the country isn't as extreme. You have every access to all the amenities a city person does, minus a few things here and there. But for the most part, you're going to have like cable TV, internet, a fucking iPhone, all this stuff. Like any little town in America has all your basic stores. You got a Best Buy, you got all this. You get by. There's, you have everything essentially, except you can't go to that nice like bougie cafe spot where they use those organic roasted beans and all that shit. You got to go to a shitty Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts. That's about the difference. The city offers a bit more nuance in terms of like if you're a foodie, if you want good food from like authentic Thai, you're not going to find that in a little town. But as far as every basic necessity you need, it's there, as well as education and connectivity to the internet and just a pulse on what's happening in the city. That pulse, that connection in the countryside is completely different in the rest of the world. Well, I would say in just my part of the world, and it sounds the same in Philippines. Like when you go to the countryside here, dude, the people change dramatically. So that's what I mean when I tell you guys, try to focus on the smaller cities. Life is a lot slower, much poorer. Very different. I would not recommend living in them. And unfortunately, there's also another effect. Just like the United States, the brightest and the smartest go to work and live in the cities, right? Because that's where all the opportunities are. All the top cream of the crop women move to the cities because that's where all the work opportunities are and all the best schools. That's where they are. So Damned if you do, damned if you don't, unfortunately.
That still haven't really been exposed to different ethnicities in provinces. I'll go
Yep.
to a province and everyone looks at me like, what is this guy? Who is this guy? What is this thing? What's his hair? They look at you like, like you're a science experiment or some shit. But that's how it is, that's just the province. The province is very different. But in the city, it's more westernized, it's more fast paced.
Yep.
And things get done a little quicker, but it's still on island time, but it gets done a little bit quicker.
Okay. Is there a common mistake you see a lot of Western foreigners make when they come to the Philippines that you just can't wrap your mind around? How can these guys still keep doing the same thing?
Entitlement and lack of understanding. My litmus test to figure out if somebody just landed here is to watch how they interact with a restaurant staff. Man, it's taking too long. What's going on? What are they doing back there? You just got here. I know you just got here because if you've been here for a while, you're like, all right, I know it's going to take them a little while, even if it's just a simple French fry. Okay, cool. I know it's going to take some time. That's one of the biggest things that tells me if somebody just got here. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that Westerners make is thinking that it's like at home. And then it's followed by, well, in America or in the West, whatever country you want to fill in, we do it like this. And I'll tell you, like a Filipino told me, and at first I was kind of mad about it, but it's true. You're not in your country. You're not. You're here. So you got to get that out of your head. You're not there. They're here. You're playing by their rules, their time.
A lot of guys still have this complaint that, Filipinos are scammers or they scam me. Any insight about men still getting scammed in the Philippines or what they perceive to be scammed?
It's willful scamming, but they don't realize that it's willful until after they've learned the lesson a couple times. Because, like I was telling you earlier, a lot of people, when they come out here, this is the first kind of attractive female attention. I'm not going to say it's the first female attention they ever get, but attractive female attention. And that's a hell of a drug. It's a hell of a drug. And what it'll do is it'll make you
a simp. It'll make you a simp. You're going to throw away all your self-respect and morals because you're getting your pee-pee wet by a woman you find attractive. Some dudes are so sex-starved that by the time they make it out there and get any attention whatsoever, every boundary goes out the window. That's why it's called willful scamming, because they choose to give their money away. And these women will take advantage of a free meal. Don't feel bad for any of these dudes. That's what happens when you think with the man downstairs and not what's in between your ears.
Agree to things that you normally would, because when you've done it and you've been scammed, in hindsight, you look at it and you say, oh my God, I was an idiot. How did I even fall for that? Her dog was sick? Of course her dog wasn't sick. Her dog is still alive. But you went on ahead and sent the money anyway.
Yeah.
And it's easy. It's a thing. Look it up. It's called pretty people privilege. Okay. Yeah. Very real. You're more willing to trust someone that's more attractive than somebody that's just normal or ugly. Can I be real and say ugly?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
they're ugly.
I mean, that's why people trust me, because I'm handsome as fuck.
Well, dang, I guess we got the same problem.
I know, right? All right. So now, last time I asked you if you were going to go back to the U.S., and I can't quite remember. I want to know your thoughts about that now. You think you're going to make Philippines your home? Any thoughts of going back? Do you regret coming here? What do you think right now?
Okay, well, let's break it down. So I do have plans on going back for sure. Home is always the USA. I'm an American, right? But I could see this place being like a second home, somewhere to come to. Like, okay, well, I'm getting tired of the hustle and bustle in America. Okay, cool. Well, then let's go ahead and come out here for a slower pace. Kind of slow down a little bit. But I regret it. Sometimes and in some aspects, yes, but there are many things that outweigh the regrets. So I'll start with the positives. I love the weather. I know I'm sweating like a pig in a fucking slaughterhouse, but hey, I'm okay. I'm all right. I like the fact that I'd rather be sweating than freezing to death. But the beauty out here, I mean, like, everything is beautiful. You take like a trip, you ride anywhere, and the next thing you know, you look outside the window if you're taking a bus and you just see blue water for as long as you can see it. And then you just think to yourself, wow, this is a beautiful creation. It's beautiful. And the people, I know it's going to sound so contradictory, but the people are nice. Mm-hmm. But the regret that I have is that you have to watch your back a little bit more. You can't really be as aggressive as you were in your home country, right? Because the issue now is this. Okay, you get in trouble out here, it's even worse. It's not like, oh, you go spend a night in the county if you get into a fight. No, you're going to get deported and you're going to get fees, and
The stakes are higher.
stakes are much higher, right? And you have to also be careful with the women. And I mean, that they're nice, they're good looking, they're cool, but you got to be careful because they got the game better than you. I mean, you could be the smoothest talker, you could be smartest man in the world. You will get outsmarted. You will get outsmarted. I mean, it's women.
Yeah.
It's women. I mean, they outsmart us from birth, you know? So you have to be.
All right, bro. I heard enough. That's it. I heard enough. Anyways, so this is Living Abroad. If you want to take a look at the channel and see more interviews. This guy said, married, lived here for an extended time, own prop and land. Love my Filipino brethren, 10 plus years. Okay, love this interview. He was honest and didn't find him insulting. Okay, been going to the Philippines for 15 years now. This is his opinion. I'm a black man living in the U.S. I love the Philippines. The niceness ends after the money runs out. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, whatever. They see the color of money. Well, I'm sorry for your experience. I do admit, as a Filipino, there are quite a lot of racist people or not so fond of black people in the Philippines. I get what you mean that white people are treated way better. Even me, when I am with my German husband in the Philippines, he's treated differently than me. They're nicer to him, so I understand how you're feeling. Yeah, there's trade-offs, guys. Nowhere is perfect. There's some unique challenges to being black and going overseas, of course. But although they're black expats are already talking about it, and although they're passport bros, you're going to have to give up some amenities and things you're used to when you leave the United States. But in turn, your wallet gets fatter and fatter. There's huge savings. You will get access to a quality of life that would be 3x, like 4 multiples over what you're able to afford in the United States. Like you would need, for example, with $4,000 a month in the Philippines, you would probably be living like you made 12 plus $15,000 in the United States. That's really what it is. Same shit here. It's like here with $3,000 in Eastern Europe where I'm at, $4,000 a month, you're living like you're making practically 10 grand in the United States a month. You can go anywhere, eat whatever you want. You're not looking at the price of food on the menu, any events, traveling, whatever locally. I mean, it costs because where I am, say, for example, Sardinia and some of the best beaches in the world, you could fly for less than $100. Less than $100 in a couple hours, you're there in some of the highest rated beaches in the world. You could be in Greece in a couple of hours. You could be in Italy, other parts, northern, the Swiss. You could be in Norway, in the fjords. You could be wherever you want. All this shit is all around you within a couple of hours. It's super cheap to travel. But you won't have, at least here, the cost of having so much money stay in your wallet is that shit doesn't run on time. Healthcare sucks. Schooling sucks if you have kids or are looking at family planning in the future. You're going to look into private academies. The earnings suck. What's their child's future going to look like raised in this society where the economy is multiple smaller than even a single state in the United States, right? So it's like, what economic opportunities do your kids have? They're going to then go overseas to say a Swiss college or colleges in the UK, and then they're getting indoctrinated in a Western culture. And then it's like, there's so many questions and stuff. For the guys that are retired, kids are grown up, everything, the variables become much less of a worry, and the problem is much more simple to solve. The solutions are easier to come by. But if you're looking to family plan, start a family, you're kind of in the peak, you've achieved financial freedom, say you're 30 through 40 years old. And I've had consultations with these guys all the time, and they're thinking like, gotta find a woman now. I got my bearing set. I'm financially free. I'm independent. I can go wherever I want. What do I like? Where do I go? What's the school like? What's the healthcare like? What's the institutions like? In general, how's the government? How are they balancing their budgets? What's investment in infrastructure like? There's so many questions because this is a potentially where you're planting roots down. And so the problem becomes far more complex. Those are some of the things I'm personally dealing with right now. So I understand some of the guys that are like around my age range that have achieved financial freedom, and they're asking these questions, bro. It's never smooth sailing to your end destination, guys. I don't want to sell it to you like that. But yeah, you can look like this little video here said, live like a king. This dude was homeless in America. Now he's living like a king. Don't know what he was making, but whatever. The point is your quality of life should be increasing multitudes over yours in the United States. That lays the foundation for what's going to happen next. Now, some guys don't care about the local schools, or they'll hire a private teacher, or the quality of education is not that important, or healthcare, whatever. Maybe they're not thinking of all those things. So they'll go to these countries where access to those are on a much lower standard quality wise. and they're okay with it. So it's not a problem. But if you're a person that likes to think about their future, that's trying to analyze, what it looks like after having a few kids, where your family's going to live, what your day-to-day life will look like on a long-term scale, then there's a lot of questions you got to answer. And there's a lot of trade-offs you're going to have to get used to having going overseas. It's just reality. Like Switzerland, I was looking at Switzerland recently. It's probably one of the best countries on earth. They rank damn near at the top of everything: education, healthcare, infrastructure. The trains all run on time. Society's good, but they're also having issues on certain topics as well. And cost of living there is absolutely insane. It's one of the most expensive places to live. I was looking at houses there, and they start at like $1.2 million. Start, bro, for a box. Like the place I'm in right now would be $1.2 million in Switzerland. So to get anything decent, you're paying above $2 million. You know what $2 million can buy you in America? Hoo-wee. You're living in a mansion, in a compound with a ton of land and all the amenities. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think. Thoughts on the gentlemen that are already overseas, how you're doing, trade-offs that you've noticed. And for the rest of the guys, subscribe to the second channel if you haven't. Check out some of the conversations we're having. It's more geared towards self-improvement and life overseas. And if that seems interesting to you, sign up to the community and join us on some of the calls. We'd love to have you. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one.